It's 2:13 in the morning. You're exhausted. Your eyes burn. Your body feels heavy. Tomorrow is going to be miserable if you don't fall asleep soon. And yet somehow your brain didn't get the memo. So you do what millions of people do every night. You grab your phone, which is a terrible idea, obviously. A decision you know is terrible. A decision I know is terrible. A decision humanity collectively agrees is terrible. And yet, here we are. 5 minutes later, you're watching a video about a guy restoring a tractor from 1947. 20 minutes later, you're learning how octopuses have 3 hearts. An hour later, you're reading comments from strangers you'll never meet. Then you check the time. Big mistake. It's now 3:07 a.m. Fantastic. At this point, you're not trying to sleep anymore. You're negotiating with reality. If I fall asleep right now, I'll still get 6 hours. 10 minutes later, okay, 5.5. Another video. 5. We've all been there. The strange thing is that most people think this is normal. Not good, but normal. As if struggling to sleep is simply part of being human. But here's the weird part. For almost all of human history, sleep wasn't something people had to figure out. There weren't sleep podcasts. There weren't sleep coaches. There weren't bedtime routines involving 17 different supplements and a mattress that cost more than a used car. Human beings slept. That's what they did. In fact, if you could somehow travel back 40,000 years and explain modern insomnia to one of your ancestors, they would probably think you were joking. Wait, you're tired, but you can't sleep? To them, that would sound ridiculous, like being thirsty but unable to drink water, or hungry but unable to eat food. Sleep wasn't a skill. It wasn't a productivity hack. It wasn't something people optimized. It was simply part of life. So what happened? Because clearly something changed. And the answer begins with a slightly uncomfortable fact. Your body wasn't designed for the world you're living in. Now, before anyone starts preparing an angry comment, I'm not saying modern life is terrible. I enjoy electricity. I enjoy medicine. I'm a huge fan of indoor plumbing. And I particularly enjoy not being chased by large predators while trying to buy groceries. Modern life has given us incredible things, but it has also created a problem. Because while technology evolved at lightning speed, human biology did not. Imagine compressing all of human history into a single year. For almost the entire year, humans live as hunter-gatherers. Agriculture appears near the end of December. The Industrial Revolution arrives a few minutes before midnight on New Year's Eve. Electric lighting shows up moments later. Smartphones appear in the final seconds. That's how absurdly recent modern life really is. Which means something important. The brain inside your skull wasn't built for apartment buildings, night shifts, social media feeds, streaming platforms, energy drinks, or staring at a glowing rectangle at 2 in the morning while convincing yourself you're definitely going to sleep after just one more video. Your brain was built for a completely different world. And to understand why sleep has become such a struggle, we need to visit that world for a moment. Imagine the end of a day 40,000 years ago. The sun slowly disappears below the horizon. Darkness begins spreading across the landscape. Not city darkness, real darkness. The kind most people today almost never experience. No streetlights, no glowing apartment windows, no giant billboards trying to sell you insurance at midnight. Just darkness. Above you are thousands of stars. Around you is a small fire. Nearby, members of your tribe are talking, laughing, sharing stories, and slowly winding down after a day spent moving through the world rather than scrolling through it. The day is ending, and perhaps most importantly, there is nowhere else to be. No inbox waiting for you. No notifications demanding attention. No endless stream of information competing for every second of your focus. The world is becoming quiet. And as it does, something remarkable begins happening inside your body. Your brain starts preparing for sleep. Not because you've decided it's bedtime. Not because you've read an article about sleep hygiene. But because your biology has been paying attention all day. You see, your brain has a problem. It has absolutely no idea what time it is. Seriously, it can't read clocks. It can't check your phone. It can't ask Google. For hundreds of thousands of years, it relied on one thing: the sun. When the sun appeared, your brain got the message: time to wake up. When the sun disappeared, your brain got another message: time to slow down. Simple, elegant, extremely effective. For most of human history, this system worked beautifully. Then humans invented electricity and accidentally started one of the largest biological experiments ever conducted. Suddenly, darkness became optional. For the first time in history, people could create daylight whenever they wanted. Entire cities stayed illuminated through the night. Homes remained bright long after sunset. Factories operated around the clock. The signals that had guided human biology for thousands of generations started becoming unreliable. Imagine somebody secretly changing every clock in your house by a few hours every day. Eventually, you'd become confused. That's essentially what modern lighting does to your brain. Because your brain still operates using ancient software. The hardware is impressive. The software is prehistoric. Every night it tries to understand a world that didn't exist when its operating system was written. Outside it's dark. Inside it's bright. The body says sleep. The environment says daytime. And things become even more complicated when we introduce what might be the most effective attention trap ever created: the smartphone. Now, to be fair, smartphones are amazing. They allow us to communicate with people on the other side of the planet, access nearly all human knowledge, and order food without standing up, which, depending on your fitness goals, may not be entirely helpful. But smartphones also exploit something ancient inside us, because long before social media existed, information could mean survival, a new food source, a hidden danger, a potential opportunity. Useful information mattered. Curiosity mattered. Paying attention mattered. The people who ignored important information weren't always the ones passing their genes to future generations. So evolution rewarded curiosity. It built brains that crave novelty, brains that pay attention when something new appears, brains that feel a tiny spark of excitement every time there's another thing to discover. Fast forward to today, and that same survival mechanism is being used to keep you scrolling through videos at 2 in the morning. Your brain sees something new and immediately pays attention. Then another thing. Then another. Then another. Not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, but because that's exactly what your brain evolved to do. The problem is that evolution never anticipated an infinite stream of novelty living in your pocket. But as powerful as smartphones are, they still aren't the biggest reason so many people struggle to sleep. The real culprit is stranger than that. Because for most of human history, stress had a very different shape. Imagine you're one of our ancestors walking through a forest. Suddenly you hear movement in the bushes. Your heart starts racing, your muscles tense, your breathing changes. Every system in your body prepares for action. This is stress, and it's incredibly useful. If that rustling bush turns out to contain a predator, you'll be very grateful your body reacted so quickly. The important thing, though, is what happens next. The threat either attacks or it doesn't. You either run, fight, climb a tree, or discover it was just the world's most dramatic squirrel. Either way, the situation ends. The stress response turns on, solves a problem, then turns off. Modern stress doesn't work like that. Today, the lion never leaves. It's your unpaid bills. It's your inbox. It's the meeting on Thursday. It's the message you haven't replied to. It's the possibility that something might go wrong next week. Ancient humans worried about what was in front of them. Modern humans worry about what might happen tomorrow, next month, or 10 years from now, which is both an incredible cognitive achievement and a complete disaster for sleep. Because your brain reacts to imagined threats in surprisingly similar ways to real ones. The body doesn't always distinguish between being chased by a predator and lying awake imagining worst-case scenarios. To your nervous system, a threat is a threat. That's why you can be completely safe in bed and still feel alert, completely exhausted and still unable to switch off. The ancient alarm system is doing exactly what it evolved to do. The problem is that it's responding to a world filled with abstract problems that never fully disappear. And when that happens night after night, week after week, year after year, something strange begins to occur. We start blaming ourselves. We tell ourselves we're bad sleepers. We think something is wrong with us. We assume we lack discipline, motivation, or self-control. But what if that's the wrong way to look at it? What if the real story isn't that humans suddenly forgot how to sleep? What if sleep isn't broken at all? Because when you zoom out, a fascinating pattern emerges. Humans evolved in a world with natural light, physical movement, close-knit social groups, periods of boredom, genuine darkness, and stress that usually came in short bursts. Then, in an evolutionary blink of an eye, we replaced that world with glowing screens, artificial light, constant stimulation, endless information, social isolation, climate-controlled buildings, and stress that follows us everywhere. We changed almost everything about the environment. Then we became surprised when our biology struggled to keep up. It's a bit like taking a polar bear to the desert and wondering why it seems uncomfortable. The bear isn't broken, the environment changed, and in many ways, the same thing has happened to us. Sleep is often treated as if it's an individual problem, something to be fixed through better habits, stronger discipline, or the latest miracle product being advertised by someone with suspiciously perfect teeth. But the deeper story is much bigger than that. It's the story of an ancient species trying to navigate a world it created faster than it could adapt to. A world filled with incredible conveniences and equally incredible biological confusion. Which doesn't mean modern life is doomed. Far from it. Understanding the mismatch is actually empowering, because once you understand why your brain behaves the way it does, many of its seemingly irrational behaviors start making sense. You're not failing because you're tired at night and alert when scrolling. You're experiencing millions of years of evolutionary programming, encountering technology that appeared yesterday in evolutionary terms. Your brain isn't stupid, it's ancient, and that's an important distinction. The irony is that modern humans have never known more about sleep, yet many of us sleep worse than ever. We track it, measure it, optimize it, analyze it. We have apps that score it and watches that monitor it. Somewhere along the way, sleep became a performance, and performance creates pressure. Which is unfortunate because sleep is one of the few things in life that becomes harder the more desperately you try to force it. It's like trying to fall asleep by repeatedly reminding yourself how important sleep is. The logic sounds reasonable. The results are usually catastrophic. Sometimes the best way to understand a problem is to stop asking what's wrong with us and start asking what changed around us. And when it comes to sleep, the answer is almost everything. We changed the light. We changed the pace of life. We changed the way we work. We changed the way we socialize. We changed the way we spend our evenings. We changed the way we experience stress. Then we expected an ancient biological system to function exactly as it always had. Maybe the real mystery isn't why so many people struggle to sleep. Maybe the real mystery is why we expected things to be any different. Because the story of sleep is really the story of modern life itself. And sleep is only the beginning. The same evolutionary mismatch that may explain our insomnia could also explain something else that's become strangely normal in the modern world: anxiety.